Okay. I'm Sky Alexandra Yamas. I come from a good family that raised me overseas in countries like Jakarta, Indonesia, which is in Southeast Asia. My father was a world-renowned oil engineer. He also owned Calico Light Weapon Systems, which is a gun manufacturer that unfortunately didn't do so well. That was more of his hobby. But my dad bought me this house. He's my hero. He's everything to me. I've been in sales my whole life. I've worked everything from call centers to door-to-door sales. I have a health and wellness business in the form of a multi-level marketing company, and this is the fourth one of those I've done. So I started at age 18 in that. I've been to prison for trafficking cocaine, unfortunately, because I got involved with some people and saw an opportunity and got greedy and stupid. So I did do 9 months in prison here in Vegas. After prison, I didn't break the law, in my opinion, since then. It could be questionable in the area of dabbling in prostitution, but that was more a power thing for me and for fun and enjoyment. So I never saw the bad side of it, that unfortunately uneducated and poor, voiceless girls, you know. I mean, a girl like me would call a girl walking the street part of the 24-hour serial killer buffet. So we really want to touch on the prostitution issue that we just can't seem to abolish through, you know, making it illegal. It hasn't stopped the influx of young women coming here to Las Vegas to sell sex in one way, shape, or form or another. There are many ways to do it, but the stigma is so heavy that it's such a touchy subject. I don't have much hope left for proper, you know,
representation,
decriminalization, legalization, whatever we can do to put some more safety into the industry that happens to be the oldest living profession. And I personally have been to jail in Las Vegas, and there's prostitutes lining a bench, and they arrest the same amount of them every night. It doesn't stop it. When a mother has to feed her kids or you're going to starve, you might make that a decision, and it puts your life in great danger. So that's me, Sky Yamas, in a nutshell. I'm a published author. I'm also in Jesse Waters' new book, Get It Together. It's called Troubling Tales from the Liberal Fringe. Chapter 7 is about me, where he calls me a radical feminist sex worker. I think that's hilarious, because I know when you think sex worker, you think someone that needed a pimp or worked out of a brothel, and that is hysterical to me. So I'm giving a voice to the voiceless. I come from a privileged upper class family. I would say we're in the 5% club financially. We don't talk about money when we have money, because all it does is bring problems, touchy subject. But everything I have because of my dad. So he knows what I've done, where I've been, supports me no matter what, trusts me to handle myself and keep myself safe. And I've made a ton of money off of exploiting men. It's been very fun. So it's a rare story. You want to go?
Hi there, my name is Heather, and I am an advocate of women's rights and women's safety, especially when it comes to taboo subjects like sex work. I think it touches on so many areas of people's lives, and I really am a supporter of Sky, and I think she's very outspoken. She's someone who people can relate to one way or another, and I think the fact that most women either feel shame, or they're on drugs because of the shame, or they're coming from bad situations that include abuse and scary, housing situations. They don't have the ability to speak up for themselves. And as a pole dance instructor, because that's related to the sex work industry, I've come across many women who are ashamed of what they do for a living. And with the rise of OnlyFans, I think that it's starting to come out that we need to talk about this, and that there needs to be a place for rights for those workers. And why is that a crime, on the streets of Las Vegas, but in the apartment building that they're filming OnlyFans, it's not a crime, and it's the same thing. So I think that conversation needs to start, and I think this is a great time to do that. Thank you.
What does decriminalization of prostitution actually mean, and how does it differ from legalization?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay, we can look at New Zealand, for example, where prostitution is decriminalized. The violence is down. Girls aren't signing up left and right to sell sex. It hasn't increased the level of prostitution. All it's done is made it safe. Now, the difference between decriminalization and legalization is, Slane and I do have a difference of opinion on this, but I've also consulted with AI, and apparently if we legalize it, we're going to give a lot of power to the owners of not only the brothels, but let's say strip clubs start selling sex in a wing of the, you know what I mean? If it's legal, it might actually increase sex trafficking. Do I have faith that the girls can work their way out of the industry and learn a lot if at least they're safe? Yes, I do. So if that's what we have to do is legalize it, I'm even going to support that. I've just heard that it is going to give a lot of power to the businessmen running the girls, and of course they're going to seek beautiful girls that they can charge more for, and that is going to increase sex trafficking, especially from other countries. Girls will be signing up left and right to fly wherever prostitution is legal. It's only legal in Nevada right now. So it's legal here in a brothel. So that gives the power to the brothel owner. Have we heard they're doing well? And it's much like a family atmosphere where the girls literally have a safety button. If something goes wrong, they can press. On-site security, STD testing, full medical. So it's better to legalize it than not at all. Because I'm sorry, you're not going to stop it or slow it down. And we can see that by Google and the internet. Type in anything you want sexual as a .com, you're going to see something pop up. This is something that I think, because it's so repressed and the men are in such shame, I think that's why they made the burqa, to cover the woman, because they're so shameful about lust. They think it's evil. Don't the Mormons think when you masturbate that you're killing all your kids or something?
Well, several cultures, yeah.
Anyways, you take it from here, but that's the difference. The difference is decriminalization if two consenting adults agree to exchange money for sexual acts. And let's say something bad happens in the hotel room. Well, now the prostitute or the gentleman can call 911, tell the truth, and get help, which makes it safer, and they're not going to go to jail. So they're just not going to be criminalized for acting in it, but there will be no legalization like drive-through $10 blowjobs. It's going to get out of control. But I'm an adult, and I've never liked kids. I like talking about adult things. I've never wanted kids. I've had 3 abortions. Guys have tried to make me have their baby. I'm like, you're supposed to talk about that first. So no, not for me. I never wanted kids. I think there needs to be a county in every state where they at least copy the example of Nevada, which we have some wonderful fun brothels. It's like going to a party. There's a bar, there's live music, all the girls are dressed in whatever they want to wear, whether they want to sell the girlfriend experience and dress like me, which is the way I would go any day, or if you want to look like a little hoe and get all kinky and you think that's going to get you paid, guess what? They have a lot of control over their own business. They say who they work with, they say what they're going to do. There's this misconception that paying for sex means a woman has to agree to any act with a man, like she's giving up all her rights. That's only for like abused, trafficked, teenage children. I never once felt out of control selling sex. No matter what position I found myself in, I felt safe, comfortable, and like if I needed to get, I was also ready for that.
But that's because you're an amazing person too. Like you have a high level of confidence.
There are positive sides to pride. You can ask AI. It says, be humble. Oh, don't talk about what you're going to do before you do it. Be this, be that. I'm not listening to any of that because the majority of people are broke. That means they're wrong. An easy way to measure success is just count the dollars in your bank account. Why? Because it's simple. It's units of choice. The more money you have, the more choices you have. Of course, prostitution is mainly money motivated. It's about the money. But you know what? If we legalize it, it's going to be so open and cheap. Like, frankly, the way it is now suits me best. Because the fact that it's illegal means we get paid a lot to do it. So we get around it by calling the John a sugar daddy, having a 2-week relationship with him, never doing it the dumb way. You don't proposition a stranger. You don't go on the street and walk. We have cell phones now. We don't have to meet up in person. There's multiple girls living together, filming, 1 to 2 hours a week, a sex act with each other, and they're paying all their bills and apartment. Wow. And you want me to work at Applebee's? I worked at Applebee's for a year. I'll tell you what happened. It ended up in me trashing the entire kitchen and the cops coming because I just couldn't take that anymore. Minimum wage, and you're doing like 5 jobs, and all these people don't even speak English, and some of them are illegal. It's not that the illegals take our jobs. Like, it's always going to happen. Acceptance and forgiveness is so key. If something is natural, like selling sex, the cavemen were trading us as wives from the get-go. We couldn't even have our own bank account until 1970, 71. So you needed a man, whether it was your father, your husband, I think maybe your brother. You couldn't have a bank account without a man overseeing it. You couldn't buy a house on your own. So what's happening is life is cyclical and women are becoming more masculine. You can see it in the LGBTQ community. That's hard to say. You can see it in the rise of gays. I think it also has to do with natural evolution and the overpopulation problem. The birth rate is low, and men think it's because they don't want to sleep with us, and we think it's because we won't sleep with them.
Yeah.
So everything depends on your world and who you're around. That we think this is normal because these are the people I've always been around. I've just never not met a girl who hasn't considered doing this or been completely capable of handling it and not getting arrested.
Yeah.
I can get 5,000 cash on date number 1. If I can do that with no sexual act, not even a kiss, I can literally promise a man I'm going to do all that, take the money and run. What's he going to do? Call the cops?
Yeah.
No, I just made $5,000. Tax free. Very hard to tax private parts, so they're going to have to legalize it if they want to make money off it, because we're just going to get more and more independent by doing it through the internet. These men are thirsty, man. They're thirsty.
I think you're thirsty too.
As long as there's a demand, there's going to be a supply.
Yep. So I'm not speaking from necessarily experience, but I'm speaking from women that I've spoken to. And normally, from what I understand, is like almost 80%, if not more, of the women are starting off in this industry in a way behind the ball, because not only is it a criminal act in most states, but it also includes drug use, their own shame, and other things that might
increase the stigma.
Yeah, might be illegal. So I think most women are starting off with the ball not in their court. So I think normalization or decriminalization would bring it up to an even keel, where it wouldn't necessarily be considered as taboo, or like OnlyFans. In comparison, everybody asks for your OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans. I don't do that. But that's such a normal question. That's literally a question that people ask now.
Do you have an OnlyFans?
Do you have an OnlyFans link?
Yeah,
which is,
online.
To me,
social media.
Unbelievable. I literally can't believe that is a normal question that someone would ask. And that's literally a porn site or, other connection sites to possible escorting / prostitution work, which I think is unreal, but that's the day and age that we're living in. And so I think because of that normalization, this conversation needs to happen. So to me, what that looks like is possibly having legislation that would include the security, the what is it called? The emergency button. What happens when a gentleman receiving services is stolen from? What happens when a person who's providing services, a sex worker, is hurt? So I think just starting there on the basics, physical safety and monetary safety, what does that look like in a successful place like New Zealand and or Amsterdam.
Can I just interject and say, men getting taken advantage of and women getting physically hurt is happening every hour
Right.
of every day in every state,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say? This is what we don't talk about. The dark side has control of this industry. That's why it has such a bad rap. That's why it's portrayed on Hollywood like all the women are, drug addicted women walking the street. No, it's your grocery store clerk.
Right.
It's your cousin. It's the lady next to you in church.
It's your A-list
We
actress.
don't talk about this. You have to pay attention not to what's being said, but body language and the signs, the actual stuff. Because people are excellent liars. I mean, they lie about everything to make up for everything. And very dumb people are good at speaking with conviction, which is very believable. When I see somebody speak with conviction like me now, I don't like second guess the person means what they say. But it's happening everywhere, all over the world. And can I just read something that Jesse Waters says? Can you get the camera on me? Jesse Waters, get it together, #1 New York Times best-selling author. He also wrote How I Saved the World, another good book by Jesse, a friend of mine now. So what he says here is, prostitution, as the old saying goes, is the oldest profession in the world. Whether or not sex should be a commodity available for purchase is a question that different societies have taken a wide range of views on. Some have had sex and embrace, now sex like SECTS. Some have had sex that embrace what is called sacred prostitution, integrating and buying and selling of sex into religious rituals. In certain regions of India, lower caste girls are married to Hindu deities and service the male priests and worshippers in that deity's temple. Others, such as ancient Greece, often treated the institution as a public industry like any other. During the Greek Archaic period, Athens ran legal state-regulated brothels, offering services from both women and young men. In the West, by the beginning of the 16th century, many Christian countries had begun to prohibit the practice, viewing it as immoral and destructive. Maybe they just had bad security, right? But even within Christendom, the world's oldest profession was once viewed as a necessary evil. St. Augustine, for example, maintained that, quote, if you expel prostitution from society, you will unsettle everything on account of lusts. Sky Alexandra isn't exactly St. Augustine, he says about me. I'm the only freak in this book that he validates the entire conversation. And it's the second to longest chapter in the book, which is also available on Audible. Just like my book, Stop the Violence, kind of. This is my memoir about addiction, drug dealing, prostitution, my personal story. It's written like a diary, and I just published it as a fiction and changed everybody's name to avoid legal trouble. It actually has a new cover now. So this is the old one that are going to be worth a lot one day because they're the originals. But the new one doesn't have the sexy picture of me on the back cover because I found marketing myself through OnlyFans and sexy pictures pretty much just got me a ton of unsolicited dick pics, a lot of guys wanting to talk sex, whatever way they do it, and they just want to talk, man. They don't even need to talk about sex. They just want to talk to a girl. They're so starved, because the way I see it, from my somewhat misandrist point of view, which is the opposite of misogynist, so I have hatred for, a lot of men. I know within 5 minutes, if I hate you and disrespect everything about you because unfortunately you were just born into a society that fed you lies and a bad, it's not our job to explain to our oppressors why we're oppressed. You have Google for that. You have true crime for that. Who gets killed the most?
Yeah, the girlfriend.
Prostitutes specifically. So the fact that you could walk by a girl working the street and not have the utmost respect for that woman being the reason that a serial killer doesn't break into your fucking house and take your 16-year-old daughter, have some fucking respect. Well,
asking,
have you
getting
ever
the
paid for
services.
sex before? I have. It's great sex because they do
What I'm
everything
saying-
you ask. You
No,
don't have to do anything.
what I'm saying is that in that circumstance, the servicer and the servicee both need protection. No, they still do.
Yeah, both sides for sure should be equal.
I'll be back rolling. So yeah, let's talk about some experience with the, because stripping industry is part of the sex work world as well.
Yeah, so in Los Angeles and in a lot of other parts of the country, there is what's called exotic dancing. And the rules there are a little bit different than like Las Vegas or other places like New York. And basically you can have a full bar but no nudity. So it's kind of a more fun atmosphere. People can drink, they can still get lap dances, it can be kind of sexy. You can get that kind of personalized experience that you might want from a strip club, but it's also a lot less taboo, and it's also a little bit more fun because of the drinks. So I've worked behind the bar and also as a dancer at some of those clubs, and there's one particular club in Los Angeles called Jumbo's Clown Room, which was featured on Anthony Bourdain's Destinations, and so that was one of the clubs I worked at, and that's a bikini bar that's been there since the 60s, and men from the film industry, Warner Brothers, a lot of deals have been made in that small venue.
Yeah, they got nude coffee in Oregon. Nude girls serving coffee completely nude, and they get great tips. Probably make minimum wage. That's what I'm saying is it will happen if they legalize it. All the girls are going to be doing it. It's going to be like an adult Disneyland. Get the kids. Yeah, it should be in a county that kids aren't allowed in. Like, you need to show your ID to enter this county.
Yeah.
You gotta be 18 and up to come to Washoe County. Clark County. It'll never get legalized in Clark County. It's too controlled by the casinos. They're not gonna have all their money being taken by a bunch of civilians. We just do it anyways. Right? Just nobody talks about it. It's illegal. Why would they be talking about it? Think about it. There's so many girls. I mean, I know girls. I personally know girls because I graduated in 2000. So there was a scholarship where anyone that graduated in Vegas with a GPA of this or higher could come to UNR for a scholarship, as I could come to UNLV. I always knew who the fucking Vegas girls were in class because they were coming in like clueless in heels and miniskirts. And us from Reno, we're like in our sweats, like, who are these bitches? They're sitting at the bar with a fake ID, underage, trying to turn tricks on their own without a pimp. I never needed a pimp. The only time I needed a pimp, and he's not even a pimp, basically I'm his pimp because I have pimped out girls. I am a pimp. I have pimped out young girls. I've given up my trick because I didn't want to go, and I send somebody because that still makes me look good. I'm not nervous about her taking him. I'm a bad girl, but we just don't do that anymore. We don't do that. There's things I've done that have been, I guess illegal and wrong, but, life is about taking risks. If you don't take any risks, fuck around and find out. The more you fuck around, the more you find out.
Exactly.
Failure is a good thing. So I've just about failed at everything more than most people in the areas of sales and drug dealing. I failed in every way, and that's why I got good at it. Because when you know what not to do, now it's clear what you do is the opposite of what you don't do. Really very simple.
Open floor question. What kind of support systems would help make sex work safer and more empowering?
First things first, let's focus on the most obtainable short-term goal. We do exploratory service. I mean, we could be anything. These girls could have whole brothels, which are like institutions of higher learning. They could offer classes. They could offer job help. The point isn't to be a hooker for your whole life. Sorry, but you're 25 years old in the prostitution industry, you're ancient. You're ancient. Are there women that do it old? Yeah, I mean, there's even fetish porn with old women and stuff. Everything goes.
Wow.
When it comes to sex. There's such a wide array of things that can happen and situations you can be put in. It's just very hard to talk about. So let's just focus on legalizing it or decriminalizing it and then go from there. First things first. Yeah, we could do any program. There could be funding to give these girls vegan fucking food. The sky's the limit, but we have to start somewhere that's acceptance and awareness, and there has to be a county in every state that underprivileged, uneducated, abused women can flock to start a life by making fast money, choosing who they sleep with, choosing what sexual acts they perform. You might as well make a fucking menu and let the men go on to like a website and see what the girl does and what she wants to do. You can purchase the girlfriend experience with Cindy. You can do anal with Jackie. You know, if you want cum sucked out of your asshole, go with Bobby Sue. Whatever. There's something for everybody, but they don't want us independent. They don't want us independent.
Who's they?
It's like the government. The government doesn't want us independent.
So
just
what
like
would they
he
get
says,
out of it?
building a sustainable society where we're not dependent on other things for our meat. You know, we would have to raise animals, grow crops. We need to do that independently because, sorry, but I don't classify people even as Democrat, Republican. I don't associate with either because how am I going to say I'm something I don't even know what the rules are? I don't know anything about politics. Stick to your lane. Like, I love Trump because he's funny. That's why I like him, because he's a great salesman. I relate to him. He's entertaining. Yeah. I think he's lighthearted and intelligent. And I think he's money-minded. And that's what this country needs right now, is to get out of debt and, frankly, do what he just did. Because somebody's got to step up when things get out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, when people have nuclear weapons that talk about how if they commit suicide, they go to their heaven, they'll bomb the whole fucking world. They're going to kill themselves. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
If you're willing to die, like nothing more dangerous than a suicide bomber. You can get in anywhere. Best would be a girl. Give her dynamite for her ass and tits, you know?
What would you want to see in the future governor's policy platform around sex work?
I still think that there should be a sector of each state away from the schools, away from the children. Our sex sells in Nevada in very rural counties, in between Reno and Vegas. You know, we're talking outskirts of Carson City, which the capital here is actually a very, very small city. You've been to Carson City? It's small. It's just that we just want a place that underprivileged, uneducated women that don't have a voice, we want a place for them to go to sell sex if they want to do it, because they're doing it anyway and we don't have any assistance. We wonder why we're turning masculine.
And for the men to buy it.
I think what is like the only well-known female serial killer was a prostitute, unfortunately. Remember the movie Monster with Charlize Theron?
Yeah, amazing.
That was based off a true story. I've also seen the true crime about her, and she was turning tricks at truck stops. No wonder she was angry.
Yeah.
That's a fucking animal, you know. And all prostitutes are always going to act like they're better than the other kinds of prostitutes. Like they're always going to act like, well, I'm better, I'm more expensive. I work at the best strip club. Oh, I don't do totally nude. You know, everybody wants to be their own thing, and guess what? We get to be. But unfortunately, because it's illegal, it's very profitable, which brings in the criminals. It brings in the criminals. Whatever is illegal, people are still going to do. Just like the thing with the border is, I personally want the borders fully closed. There are a lot of people that think it's completely inhumane in our country, you know, work here, do everything without any requirements. And it's sad but true, but like, I guess I would say I'm a realist, and if you look at the facts, like working on your inner circle and staying limited association is going to be more effective in the areas you can't, you know, you have no control over, versus globalization, I guess it would be called. I think it's crazy we turned the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America, but I also think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I like
crazy.
Trump. I'm like, that was a funny one, Trump.
That's
you know,
funny.
To me it's comical. Until it's in my backyard, until they're rioting on the strip, I don't have an opinion on it. I don't think people should be committing violence, period. The name of my book is Stop the Violence, Kinda. If we as humans could focus first and foremost on not physically hurting one another, it should all just, let's not get crazy, you know? Everybody's going down now for what they say, where they were when they tripped. It's everybody's fault. The law is out of control. Guess who built that? Women. Everything's our fault. What runs the world is money and vagina. Men work hard and make money to be with women. Women work hard and make money to stay away from men. Let me say that again. Men work hard to make money to be with women. Women work hard to avoid being with men. So until we learn to just, I guess, worship each other, because I love men, I'm straight as an arrow. I love my dad, I love the 5% Club, I love Bob, I love Dennis Wong, my mentor. I have a lot of men I look up to, but they're the cream of the crop, baby. Like even Michael, you see, I don't have to go back to that. I don't need any of them. There's 333 million people, I think, right now in America, and we're about equal of men and women. These poor white straight males. God forbid, could you imagine being on a dating site as a dude? I saw a girl on Instagram do it for her friend. She's like, I hate bitches. I was just trying to get a date as Joey, and these bitches are talking about what's my credit? Will you pay for my nails, and then I'll go out with you? Like, yeah, that must be very frustrating. So I think life is easier for women, powerful women, educated women. But how many right now are not that? The majority, right? The majority. So we got to just accept that they're overpowering the top in numbers. The top can't control us.
Yeah.
So I associate with both the top and upper class, and I also associate with people in prison in the very bottom. And the fact that there are people in there with sentences over weed. I was looking at 20-year minimum, and just because I have money and good lawyers and a Lexus, I only did 9 months. Because I'm an upper class, privileged, educated white girl, and my shit was big news. These black girls don't even get noticed and shit.
Yeah.
You're a white woman, you make more money than a black woman in porn. We got to stick together, work together, get them equal pay. For black women, it's purely about the money. I've heard a lot of white women that I know, we do it for, the money, but it's also the sense of power. Feels good. It's fun. It's fun to charm a man, knock his socks off, make him orgasm in 4 minutes. What's hard about that? I don't think that's hard. A boxer is risking mental retardation in the ring, and that's considered work. What about football players?
Yeah.
They're risking major injury.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but this shit, I've never had a problem. I've had challenges. I've been insulted. I've been deeply insulted, personally, emotionally. Never physically. I never had a problem. That was only with real boyfriends that weren't paying me.
So what are some of the biggest misconceptions people have about people in the industry?
That they have to submit and do anything that the purchaser says. Huge misconception. I guess maybe a girl on the side of the road in a truck that might get her ass beat if she doesn't do what he says, and a lot of women get raped and hurt and stuff, so that does happen a lot. I personally know women who are just not that smart, of a lower class of girl, broke family, no support, on her own. I've known of them to get raped, sodomized, have their whole face broken in, had to go to the hospital, lie about what really happened because they don't want to get in trouble. These men, what the girls are doing now is they're actually asking for an upfront deposit just to prove it's not some like completely broke, insane person that's going to kidnap you and rape you. The money kind of shows a little bit of truth or trust, right? And a lot of the men are, I'm not going to pay no upfront till I see her. So, it is what it is, but there's such a wide array of girls. I've done a lot of FaceTime with the guy where you both masturbate and he has to pay you up front for that, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle. We have so many ways now to accept a credit card. Where do you remember back in like the 90s, like you couldn't just take someone's credit card. Let me tell you what's simple is getting a guy to buy you stuff. You know what's hard? What's really hard is getting them to hand over cash. That's the hardest thing to get out of a man. These men don't want to feel like a bitch. They feel like a bitch for paying cash. I don't know why. I don't know why. I love it. I'm like, I love you so much if you just pay for everything, please. I'm not easy, but I don't need it anymore. You know, now I make it myself and don't put myself through the agony, but I still can't help myself being on like Facebook dating and just, you know, you get to browse through these guys and their whole, everything about them, they're just trying to impress you. So all their shit's listed. If they're a grad student, their occupation.
Yeah.
Some of the websites show their net worth, right?
Yeah, well,
You're
actually,
also going to have predators that lie. And you meet up with a guy, he's in a broken down Kia, you know you're not having coffee that day.
right?
Yeah. That happens a lot.
Yeah. Well,
It's like
actually,
sales.
they did a study where a woman can earn just as much as a graduate student, like the same woman, but if she is like good looking, they can earn the same amount of money, like from graduating from graduate school versus
A non-graduate?
a non-graduate that didn't even go to college, didn't do anything, but is a good, takes care of herself or whatever, looks good. They will literally be making this like same amount of money. So that tells you right there that whole thing about men being stimulated by visual isn't going anywhere. It's just, that's how
wonderful.
the mind works, you know. And
That's fine, please.
that's okay.
That's why we get dick pics. They think it's going to get us excited.
Yeah.
Don't do
But
that,
I think
okay?
women on a lot of
Don't send that.
their, you know, they also struggle with the shame of it. And I think less men, maybe it's less shameful for a man to, you know, purchase sexual, you know, favors than a woman to offer it. And why is that? You know, why is that? And so, I mean, that's a serious question. Like a man, like you have these women that are Bonnie Blue and this other woman who are, you know, sleeping with 1,000 men in a day.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
Right? But if a man did that, people would be like, giving him a parade.
I think it's crazy for a man.
Yeah,
too.
what I'm saying is like, yes, I mean, I don't know emotionally, who knows what's going on, but that was her choice.
Look,
She
I know a
chose to
couple
do
of black girls that have a different boyfriend for each thing they need. Isn't that a form of prostitution? She's got one that pays for her nails each week. She's just basically selling her time with them. She has her own place, but he'll either get to come over and she'll do something for him, whatever it is, usually sex, and get everything she needs. She's got one boyfriend to buy her food, pay for her food. She's got one boyfriend to pay the light bill. That's their agreement. These girls are acting like business owners already.
Yeah.
Like, look at Martha Stewart. She was the brand. Martha Stewart's a hoe.
Well, she is a friend of Snoop, so.
She is good with Snoop. Yeah, that was hysterical. Them on there making,
That is
what were
so
they making?
cool.
Like weed covered.
Yeah, like brownies or something. That was amazing.
Yeah, she mapped out her business like the solar system, and she labeled her Martha as the sun.
Wow.
So a lot of people were like, she was a narcissist
Yeah.
and everything had to be perfect. She was hard to work with.
But she's
Look what
amazing.
she's built.
Yeah.
And she gave the average American woman so many ideas that, and if you buy any of her stuff, it's nice stuff. Anything by Martha Stewart, I have so much at the house. All the UV-proof fake flowers, the candles with the fruit, and everything's so nice. It's unfortunate that her husband is such a piece of shit. Cheating bastard.
Let's do this or something. Okay, so talk about the different levels and the different classes of the whole game.
I mean, I got manipulated into stripping underage at 17 years old in Reno, Nevada, which is they call it the biggest little city in the world. It's a very small little town close to Lake Tahoe, you know, a little strip with some casinos. We saw some girls, we were in Applebee's. I was fresh out of high school, and a couple girls younger than me, so they were like 17, and they were telling us how much ridiculous money they were making in the VIP room at the men's club, which is the most high-class strip club in Reno. There's several, you know, Wild Orchid, this, that, Fantasy Girls. There's all different levels, you know. I think the trashier ones are funner. If you frequented strip clubs, I mean, I went to one in Chicago where it was all construction workers and a lot of Mexicans, and the lap dances were $5, and they ate peanuts and threw them on the floor. And me and my girlfriend went in there to pretend we might want to dance just to check out the club, you know, and then when we saw the lap dances were $5.
You're like, oh.
So would you consider dancing probably like level 1?
Dancing is what got me into the world, yeah. I absolutely, there were guys that asked me when I was 18 stripping at the men's club. You know, the girls just taught me. I worked my first night, a Friday night was the day I went in, got interviewed. I literally went in there just to see the club because the girls were like, if you come in and just pretend you want to strip, you'll get to go in and see the whole inside. So we were like, we want to see the inside. And you know, when you walk in as an 18-year-old kid, and there's this fantasy world of beautiful naked women and lobster and sushi and powerful men in suits and security and the VIP room and the elegance, you're kind of like tantalized by the devil. You know, like it was just automatic. They interviewed me. I had to sell myself. I mean, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were like, so how do you know about how to dance at all? I was like, I took jazz dancing. And I was like selling myself. And he was like, you know, this is a really rare occasion. We normally have the girls work 2 weeks day shifts before we'll put them on the weekend. But how would you like to work tonight? And I was like, you know, I just said, yeah. I was on the stage that night. The girls gave me a lap dance as if I was the man. I knew how to do it after 1 or 2 lap dances, which take, 3 minutes? And then they just threw me on stage. And at men's club, we didn't have a pole. We just had a stage. Our pole was, there was a pole on the piano in the front room where they had sushi and a bar. And then the back room where the VIP room and the DJ was and VIP. I mean, we had everything you could think of. And the girls just told me, they're like, go up to every dude as soon as he comes in, get to him first, ask him if he wants to go in the VIP room. Don't fuck around. They're like, don't ask him don't even say anything to him. Just ask him right away, hey, you want to go in the VIP room with me? If he says no, go to the next dude. That's what it's just sales. It's a numbers game. The more often you do something, a ratio is going to appear, and the more often you do it, the better your ratio is going to be. So I might have sucked at stripping, but guess what? If I'm tapping 20 dudes on a shoulder in an hour, and this bitch thinks she's got to talk some guy for half an hour to get in the VIP room, I'm making more money. I'm bringing home money. And I remember sitting in my first condo with my best friend Dylan, and we were all on the kitchen floor, me, Tatum, and Dylan with our legs spread, and we had all the money I made, and we were just throwing it up in the air, and we just, you know, it's easy come, easy go. So most of the girls are spending their money on drugs, clothes, you know, high-end food. They don't save the money. The girls we respect are the women that pay for a nice car, buy a house, girls that go to school, that are maybe just so independent, they don't have a family support, and they're in school and they're a stripper. Those are the respectable strippers.
Yeah.
And you'll see those girls pull up in a nice car.
Yeah.
That's paid off.
Yeah.
And a lot of the prostitution starts in the strip club, because I was only 18 years old, and I had guys asking me, you know, if we meet up after shift, I'll give you this, we could do that. And then the other half of the guys are like, what's a girl like you doing in a place like this? And I'd be like, fuck you, dude, you're in here. You know, why are you here? I didn't know what was so bad about it. I didn't have a bad experience. I was getting paid. I had my real boobs in, just natural A's. I was a MVP volleyball setter, so my body was toned and young and perfect.
So I mean, I was experience, you would say level 2 actually getting involved in prostitution, usually outside of people that's forced into prostitution through sex trafficking, it usually happens through the...
I mean, if you want to talk numbers, like 1 is getting tortured and killed by a serial killer. 100% is you're making $1 million a year hoeing. You think it's reasonable? First, I mean, hey, I don't know. It's just the girls we look up to, okay, as being a 43-year-old woman. My girls I looked up to were Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj. Megan Thee Stallion came out and said, I'm a pimp. It's evolution, baby. You know, those are the girls I looked up to. There's sex tape, Britney Spears flashing her pussy to the whole world. She's asserting dominance. She was being controlled at that time. That was her only way to show power.
You forgot.
Cardi B. Hated her at first. I love the girl. She's hysterical. And there's videos of her shoving a beer can up her pussy on stage. That's where she started.
Lady Gaga. She was a dancer.
I've seen her live. She's amazing. What does she call it? The little monsters. She calls everybody, and everybody's on crazy outfits at that concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jamesy, come here. You got to be in the podcast. Jamesy. Where is he? Fo. Come here, Fo. Okay, they don't want him. It's okay.
Camera shy.
Casey's the star. Casey.
Shout outs I have, drop any links where they can find, where everyone can find your stuff at.
I mean, you can find all my health and wellness products from meal replacement shakes to CBD. We have a whole perfume line. I sell probiotics, vitamins, pre-workout pills. I have a website. This my mentor Dennis Wong started yourhealth.com. So here's our perfume line. We're not the only ones doing this, but what we do is we almost molecularly exactly copy the top selling scents in the country. So like for example, that green icon there, that's a copy of Creed. And Creed is a $470 bottle of cologne that ours smells better for $60. So we make a lot of money in billion-dollar industries. I don't make a lot of money doing it for me. I just do it for fun and because I'm close with the CEO and his leaders and whatnot. But yeah, there's that, and then you could put up, like, I'm public. My Facebook is Sky Alexandra Yamas. My Instagram is at Sky Alexandra STVK. That stands for Stop the Violence Kinda. My book is purchasable on Amazon or Audible. I narrate the whole story myself. I was given the advice to hire someone to narrate it. I absolutely did the opposite. I think it's very authentic to hear the actual author tell their story, because who to do it better. So that took a whole day in the studio. What else do I do? Do I do anything else? No more women's meetings.
You're going to start your own podcast, hopefully soon.
I'm in a recovery group. I've been through multiple addictions and had drug problems. They've been a big part of my life. But I'm sober now. The only thing I'll ever do is randomly smoke weed. I don't pay for it. Only if I'm offered it. It's like a social thing. I do not drink. I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
With the help of my recovery group and also my mentor.
Changed your life.
My mentor, Bob Brokaw.
And yes, same. I'm also sober from all drugs, and alcohol is a different story for me. But that was the stepping stone for me to take a look at my life in a different way and a point of view. So I highly recommend that. And if you have any questions, you can actually
Google AA or NA. You'll find what you need. Google AA or NA. We're actually not at press, radio, and films. We don't promote ourselves. We attract. So you can find a recovery group in any city in the country. If you just Google recovery group in Google, you'll find my fellowship of people, which is very, very, very large, global fellowship. Secret.
Action.
So I'm all about women's rights. I'm all about women getting the strength to leave domestic abuse. If you're in a relationship with a guy and you're just being abused mentally or emotionally, maybe he doesn't put his hands on you, but you're going crazy and you don't know why he's treating you the way he is, get this book. It's called Why Does He Do That? I was looking for a book on narcissism to try to understand someone, and it says Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. So Lundy Bancroft, who saved me from an abusive relationship, just reading this book, he just says it all. Everything you need to know. He's a therapist for abusive relationships where he interviews both the abuser and the abused, so he really knows his stuff. Then if you want to learn more about like the facts and world history of evolution of prostitution, I found this book, Revolting Prostitutes, The Fight for Sex Workers' Rights. This is by Molly Smith and June Mack. And this book is extremely informative. This is not a telling about sexual experiences book at all. This is the facts, the protests, the women, the real people that we know in history, and a lot of references in the back. So if you know nothing about prostitution and you think, oh, all I know is what I see on TV, get this book, Revolting Prostitutes, and you will know everything you need to know.